the Success Uncensored TV show and podcast. And you already know how we do this. We have real discussions with real people who really have real success. And not just any type of success, but I'm talking about these are people who have fulfillment, peace, joy, purpose, clarity. Oh my goodness. And so I'm so excited to be able to hang out with one of my friends. And let me tell you, this friend is just... she's so amazing. And when I really think about the Success Uncensored formula, do it well and do it consistently, immediately she comes to mind. And she knows that because every time I have a project, I'm like, can you be a part of it? And so without further ado, I got my girl Joy Taylor on here, co-host with The Herd with Colin Cowherd. And let me tell you, this is a beast in the sports realm. And not often do you see women of power and authority in these sports spaces, especially in media. And honey, she is very present. So how you doing, girl?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Like literally from the moment we connected randomly on Clubhouse, that's how we met, you guys. It's not that hard. Like that was it. But I just love connecting to genuine souls. And so I think obviously having the same name, Joy, helped a little bit. And then I don't know. I just like, man, she's genuine. She's real. And I just connect with real people, even if they're all the way in the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast, I'm still connecting with them. So tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I co-host The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays on FS1, and we are a sports radio and television simulcast. So it's fun, it's interesting, it's a lot of energy and theories. And if you know Colin and Colin's work, Colin's been in the business a long time. That's the show that we do. So I do that and a bunch of other things that are coming out over the next week or so, which you'll hear during the football season. But yeah, I am a co-host on a sports radio television show.
I love it. And now I want to talk about this conversation about authenticity, because I really believe that in your line of work, I feel like that's kind of difficult. I think, like you tell me, being in the sports realm and media, I feel like that's still a man's world in a sense, and we're working on getting out of that. But how do you actually figure out how to be true to yourself, not just being a woman, because we're not going to just group all women like we're the same, but your gender, and then on top of that, just being you, your unique self, your personality, your quirks. Like, how do you make sure that you bring that into every space and not feel like, oh my gosh, I need to be maybe more like a man or be like this? How do you navigate that?
Well, I think it's taken time. So I can't say that I've always known how to do that or when to do that. And you know, it's not just a space where, you know, there are a lot of men, but there are certainly not a lot of black women. And there are not a lot of women or black women in, you know, positions of power either. So being you're an authentic person and bringing your personality and what it is that you do when you're away from work and how that influences, you know, what you say on air and all of that can be very interesting to balance in certain spaces. So I think we've talked about this before, actually, like what the corporate world expects you to be and what they expect you to look like and what they expect you to talk about and be interested in. And so I think it's a process as you're a professional, like where you reach a point where you're like, that ain't me. I'm not doing that. Or I'm not interested in that. And then you start to kind of live in your truth and be confident in who you are, especially as a personality, because on top of being yourself, you know, you're learning how to be on air and how to talk for hours and talk endlessly. And especially in radio, you know, it's this long format where you're just having to make mouth sounds for, 4 hours. Like, you got to be able to have something to say.
Clearly.
For 3 seconds. It feels like an eternity. So yeah, it's a process, but I think once you feel confident in what it is that you want to present to the world, obviously as a public figure, what you represent, what you care about, what your purpose is, it becomes much easier. So for me, being a talent in a sports space that is traditionally very male oriented, and these positions are held by men. I think it's in some ways more important to be very authentic and very true to what you are, because to your point, all women are not the same. And when you're in a male dominated space, they very much expect you to be whatever the idea of a woman in that space is. The basic of the gist of the story is that I was kind of just asked to compartmentalize a whole part of my personality. And
what part? What part of the personality?
I mean, the turn up part.
Because the reason why I'm saying that, Joy, is because there's people who are listening who got that turn up part too, and you're gonna be speaking to them. They don't want to turn it off.
No. And listen, I made a choice because I was asked to do it, and then now at this point in my career, the answer would be no, thank you. That's it. The answer is
period.
No. But at the time, I was a young in the business, and so I was like, okay, I'll make other people comfortable. I understand what you're asking this for. And then all of a sudden it was like, everybody's like doing that. I'm like, well, hold on. Why not? Why am I the one who has to be quiet and be small?
Now, everybody is dying to want to know just an example of what turn up looks like for Joy Taylor. Please.
Oh, well, listen, you can check the Instagram now. We were talking before we started recording. We outside now.
Hey!
No, it's vaccinated, but outside. There will be times, I think, in your career and in business where, you don't need to be extra, right? If you're an extra person, like, you need to read the room. I think self-awareness is important.
Right.
So it's not like I'm saying I walk into every room cursing and drinking and twerking and whatever. Like,
today. No, I'm just playing.
There's a time yes. There's a time and a place for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know that that's not real life every day. I'm tired. I need naps. So, like, it's not 24/7. But I do think that being authentic to who you are is very important, because one, especially if you're a public figure, and I can't speak to every business, obviously, because there's just some businesses where, like, your clients don't need to know what you do in your private life or whatever.
Right.
When you're a public figure, you are representing you, so, like, everything doesn't have to be public. I'm actually a very private person. I choose what I allow to be.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand, that when you see someone who seems like they're so open on social media, I'm like, bruh, you still only know like 2% of my life. That's it. And you think you're getting all of this and you don't know. Yeah.
You're not. And it's not that what you're getting isn't authentic to me.
Yeah.
It's just a part of me.
And it's a need to know basis. Struggle. It's what you need to know.
It is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some people, everyone's different. Like, some people really like to, put all of whatever they're going through on social media and, talk about different aspects of their life that I wouldn't necessarily put on social media. But if that's cool for you, that's fine. I'm not, whatever you want to do. But for me, that's just not how I am. But what I am going to put out is going to be authentic, because you don't want to be playing a character, because you got to do that all the time.
That part. And that's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Unless you're like a wrestler, like, they're in character all the time. But I don't need to do that. I can turn it up for TV. I can turn it up for radio, obviously, turn it up for a podcast, but be yourself and do whatever works for you. I
love that.
At the end of the day, that's the bottom line. What works for you might not work for somebody else. It might not work for the next person. So,
honey, that's do you right there. That's my success formula right there.
Yeah, it's important to have inspiration, but comparison will steal your joy.
It is.
So you need to find things that inspire you, that maybe that other people are doing, or that people who are in your business who are doing great things or have done great things do. But at the end of the day, find the formula that works for you and what is authentically you. And that is when you'll be the most successful and the happiest.
And that's what happened in my life. Because as soon as I got into this like corporate coaching space, I thought I had to be a certain way, because that's what I saw when I went to these networking events, and they would bore me to death, Joy. I was like, why does every woman in corporate dress so lame? Like, that's how I felt. Like, this is the style. Who made these rules? Like, this is boring. I'm bored. Everybody, like, I just felt like everybody was boring me. But really, it was because I was trying to conform to society's standards and what I thought I had to be. And then finally, when I started to break out of that, I'm like, wait a minute, who's for me is for me. The corporations that are for me will be for me. I know I'm a beast at what I do. I know when I open my mouth, people are going to see change. And that's all I need to worry about. Am I an expert in the content that I'm putting out there? And if I am, then I'm good. Everything else doesn't matter. And I tell you, Joy, it's been the most liberating experience ever. Like being silly, doing my funny TikToks because I feel like it, being myself. And people know I show up, I want to say in the boardroom, but now that's like i.e. Zoom. So they know when we go live on Zoom, like, man, Dr. Keita Joy, she's going to bring it. These companies are going to be changed. These employees are going to be better. And that's all like just being me. Even like my ghetto side, like all this stuff I thought I had to curb in order to get these big corporate contracts. And once I figured out I didn't have to do that, I just made so much more money. I was like, who knew all this money was here being authentic? You know,
all this money for me.
For me.
No, but I think the most important thing that you said, and this is very important, especially for young people in any business, but I think throughout the business too, is that everything is not for you. And that's okay. I say everybody's not for me, and I consider that to be a blessing. Because I don't have time for all y'all. No offense.
Hello.
Okay.
No, none taken. None taken.
Everything is not for you. And that's okay. So when you see other people doing something, or you see other people succeeding, or you see someone else doing something exciting, or this person's doing this, or this post, that they're great on TikTok, and you're only doing, posts on your feed. And it's like, it's a lot, and at the end of the day, it's okay, because everything is not supposed to be for you. I'm not great at TikTok. I haven't accepted this. I'm just going to refurbish my content and put it on Instagram.
It looks good, boo. It looks good.
I don't know if I'm doing anything exclusive to there. And you just shouldn't put the pressure on yourself, because it's also okay to hear no. I get told no all the time.
And I always say your no just leads you closer to the right yes. That's for you. That's all the no's do.
Yes. And it can be discouraging, because there are things and opportunities that you want. And there are things that you feel like you deserve. And there are things that you work for and you deserve and should be yours by all accounts. And you still don't get it, and you're still frustrated. But remember that what's for you will come to you if you're working hard, if you're putting out the right energy, if you're being authentic to yourself, and if you're not working in a space of comparison, and you're working in a space of growing as yourself. Like, what are you doing to grow every day? What are you doing to make yourself better every day? Because it's hard to hear no. We were just talking about
I just told you about my big no's that I had. One of them was very recent. Heck yeah, especially like you said, I'm like, I'm ready for it. I'm good at it. We worked hard for it. The opportunity came, and still no click. It didn't click. But guess what? Right after that, another opportunity presented itself. You see, not a moment too soon and not a moment too late. Everything is always on time. Always. Even if it doesn't feel like it, it's still on time.
Yes, and it's perfectly okay to feel discouraged, and it's okay to have a day and eat some ice cream and feel bad for yourself. But then you can't give that too much energy. You can't give that person too much energy. You can't give that opportunity too much energy. You can't give that show too much energy. You can't, because it's in the past now. So what can we do today to make ourselves better for the next opportunity? And I know that's easier said than done, but I experience that all the time. So I have to remind myself of that. Like, be patient. Work hard, do what you need to do, but and demand things for yourself also. And sometimes demanding those things for yourself will take opportunities off the table.
Facts.
I was talking about this last night, because as a person, something that I've worked on that's really helped me in my life is forgiving myself.
That's powerful.
And I used to not forgive myself for mistakes and decisions that have taken me off my path or caused me a lot of pain and trauma. And it took me a long time to just say, it's okay that you did that.
What did that process
learn from
look
it.
like? Because that's part of authenticity. You have to accept yourself. Like, how can you be authentic and you're not accepting all parts of you, which includes mistakes that you've made? So, what did that process look like to getting to forgiving yourself? That's really powerful.
Well, so I grew up in an abusive household. And so I was programmed from a baby to think and feel like everything I was doing was the wrong thing, because that's what abusers do, is they project their insecurities onto you and just kind of mold you in a way where you're constantly insecure so that they can move you around without any conflict. And so that carried into my adult life and was also led me to having not great boundaries, which is the thing I'm working on now. But, feeling guilty, really extreme guilt about decisions that I made that were harmful to me or that weren't really smart or, were put me on a bad path or whatever the decision was. I would carry that with me and kind of, it would kind of give me shame. And that shame would allow toxic people and toxic situations to thrive because I felt like the way that they were treating me was what I deserved because of the decisions that I made, which is not true. Because we all make mistakes, and some mistakes are, more harmful than others, obviously, but you have to forgive yourself or you will open yourself up to that kind of negativity, because the only way that that kind of negativity can get in is if you have that door open.
I feel like I had another interview that I did before, and we talked about the serenity prayer. And this makes me think about the same thing again. Like, God, grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change. And that makes me think about our past mistakes. Like, what can I do now? I can't go back. All I can do is accept it. And forgiveness is a part of that acceptance.
Yes, and atonement too.
Yes.
If you harm other people,
right,
there's no shame. I think there's this idea because of the cancel culture that there is some sort of shame in apologizing, and I don't know when that became cute, but if you have
never
the slightest thing to harm someone, even if you didn't do it with the intent of harming someone, there's no shame in saying I apologize for that. Now, maybe you said something you believe in and they disagree and are hurt by it. So you can explain yourself. I'm sorry that hurt you. This is why I feel that way. Let's talk about that so we both can grow. But if there's levels to forgiving yourself. And to your point, you can't change the past. So
you made me think about pride, Joy. That's a lot of times I love J. Cole, but he has a song that's called Pride is the Devil. I think hey, come on. You got to hold on me. Pride is the devil.
My favorite song
yes.
on that album.
I mean, but that will mess up relationships, homes, work environment, yourself. And what you're speaking to is having humility. I feel like that's even helped me in business. I don't know how many CEOs, they really respect that. When I'm like, I don't know that. Or, I apologize. Or,
see, that's self-awareness. That's self-awareness. I think I struggle with humility because I have this conversation a lot because of Sha'Carri Richardson. And the idea that you owe other people humility, and I do think you owe certain situations humility, like what I was just saying. If you harm someone, I think you owe someone's humility. If you lose, you owe humility to the people that beat you, essentially, in competition. But walking around with too much humility, I think, at least for me, when I was a little too humble, I got in situations where now I look back, I'm like, nope, didn't need to do that. I did not need to be that humble.
But that's redefining what humility is. I think we don't even have a healthy view of what humility is. Sometimes when we think of humility as being meek and timid and not standing up for yourself, and I'm like, that's not humility. Because when I look in the Bible with my Jesus was ready for whoever.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, so I think that maybe the definition of humility is a little too flexible because, meek, I'm not a meek person.
No, you're not.
I don't need to be meek for you. No. If my strength makes you uncomfortable, that's a you problem.
Hello.
Talk to your mama.
But not me.
But no, it's not me. But being meek and being humble, that's why I said I think that's self-awareness. Well, if you don't know something, asking questions or saying, I don't know this, is self-awareness, what I think is very important because that is also a sign of intelligence. I know nothing. That means that you are aware of how much you still have to learn, and therefore you do learn. Dumb people always have all the answers. Just ask them.
Yes. Right.
They will tell you whatever.
And then they don't even realize you looking at them like, really? And you're like, no, you don't. Like in your head, you're like, you don't know what you're talking about.
They love it. They love it. They love it. They can't. I mean, and that is arrogance, and that is not being humble at all.
And you don't grow that way.
No, you don't grow, and you've already decided that this is the answer, when in fact, it's probably not. And what's wrong with not having the answer? Nothing.
But guess what? You made me think of, girl, who you telling? This whole podcast, half the time, I don't know what I'm doing, but I make sure I have a team and they know what they're doing, right? And that comes with self-awareness and humility. Understanding these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. But you made me think about TD Jake said something, and I feel like prideful people fall into this rut and they don't grow. Like think about the numbers 1 through 10, and you get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm number 10, look at me. And you're so scared to be an 11 because an 11 feels like you're back at the bottom again. Kind of like that kid, like my son, he's in 5th grade, so he's top dog, but as soon as he goes to middle school, now you're like the little fish again. So some people, they just camp out at number 10. Woo, 10. And I'm like, I'm okay with being 11. Because, honey, this 11 going to 20, okay? And then I'm okay with being the 21 at the bottom again, because 21 is going to go to 30. And so that's kind of my mindset. And then other people, before you know it, they're like, whoa, how did Keita get all the way up there? It's like, because I don't mind growing. I don't mind saying, hey, I don't know this. And I don't mind surrounding myself with people, right? Like you, other people where I can learn things from and continue to grow. So I think that's so powerful. So you truly embody my success formula, boo. Do you do it well and do it consistently? You are so authentic, which is doing you. I feel like you do everything in excellence. I mean, your backdrop, some of the people, if you're listening, she has like the dopest backdrop right now. I mean, she's got neon pink lights and this rustic wall, and it's just beautiful, you know? But that just speaks to the excellence that you embody, and you're so consistent, like you persevere. So I kind of gave you these terms. I'm going to say, do it well, do it consistently. When I say each phrase, the first thing that comes to your mind, I want you just to say it. Like when you hear that phrase, just what comes. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So do you, what do you think of?
I think of authenticity and transparency with yourself.
Ooh, come on, transparency. That's a good word. That was good. Yeah. Good word. Transparency.
Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself.
That's it.
It's a dangerous place to be.
Because if you're lying to other people, that means you're lying to yourself too. Right. And
but also, you need to be honest with yourself. Everybody doesn't need to hear everything that you're going through, if you don't want to share. But you do need to be honest with yourself, and you should be honest with your therapist also. But you should be honest with yourself.
Girl, I have an appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m. and I'm ready to be transparent as I don't know what. Yes,
because that's when you really face what it is you need to work on, and maybe even face what it is you have achieved, and you need to be, you need to celebrate yourself in that space and not be.
Ooh, girl, see, we need more time. That's so good. This is my time right now where I'm like, I'm proud of me season. I've been working so hard. I'm like, I'm proud of me. You know how Snoop was like, I just want to thank me for, being me. I was like, I felt that. Okay, so do it well. What do you think of?
I think that when I think of do it well, I think of don't be afraid of the process. So to your point of being an 11 or being a 21 or being a 31, it's great to get the big job and to get the big promotion and to, crush the business and all those things. But along the way, enjoy the process of it. Every day is not going to be a great day. Every day is not going to be a bad day. Someday you're going to have to probably go do a job in your small business that you had hired someone else for, but they can't come in today and it's got to get done. So you got to go do it. Facts. Or you're not a producer anymore, but you still got to do the rundown because this is what needs done. You got to set up the backdrop. You got to do whatever it is you have to do. So take pride in what it is you do, even if you're doing the small, tedious things, because everything is meant to shape you and make you better. And luck favors the prepared. Ooh. And you never know when you're going to need a skill, when you're going to need some type of experience, or you're just going to use it because you've done it before and it's the thing that pushes you over the edge in the moment when it's most needed.
Oh, I like that. Luck favors the prepared. Well, honey, we favored. Yes.
Because we're prepared.
That's right. I'm like, yes. All right. So, and doing it consistently, what do you think about?
Do it consistently. You are what you habitually do.
Yes.
And I like to use the example of getting in shape, right? We all would love to just take a pill and have a six pack. I don't really need a six pack, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no fupa. At least not. I've been talking about that. No fupa. Yes. Okay.
No
yes.
Fupa. Men love fupa. Yes, I call it the pooch.
Your pooch?
The pooch.
Yes.
Yeah, the pooch. Men love the pooch. I did a whole YouTube video on it. It's like people.
Okay, man. Y'all like the pooch out there? All right.
Yeah, like, what's, they don't even know what we're talking about, honestly. Most of the men, when I talk about the pooch, just is like a complete aside. They don't even know what we're talking about.
Like, pooch? What?
Look at that. It's a women thing. Women look at that more than men do, I think. But anyway, we'd like a skip ahead, a shortcut to getting in shape. Mm-hmm. But we all know you gotta drink water. We gotta eat good consistently, not just one day a week. We gotta mix in some salads for lunch. And we got to work out every day and get some rest. Like, take our vitamins. We all know that's what we have to do, right? But we all try and come up with ways to get around it.
Yes.
And it's like, no, it is consistency. It's the only answer. We all try and tell ourselves it's not, but it is. So be consistent means habits. What are your habits? Because you are what you habitually do. If you are habitually late, then you don't actually care about the people who are inconveniencing being late, or what it is that you do, because you're not there. If you are consistently doing the best work, that is going to reward you. If you're consistently striving for excellence in every moment, it might be tedious, it might be exhausting, but there is a benefit, there is a reward to that, even if you don't see it immediately, which is difficult to do because we live in a microwave society where we just think, because, if the Instagram video doesn't load the instant that we click on it, we swipe away, that's how life is. We're just going to click on something and boom, we are set for life millionaires and we are, cruising the Caribbean for the rest of our lives.
Okay, not the case.
But
real. I love what you said with consistency.
Anyway.
No, but like what you said with consistency is like, really the question is, what are you consistent in? Right? Like, what consistent habits are you building? Because a lot of people are consistent in a lot of things, but it's the wrong things. And that's that whole doing it well. Right. It's like, okay, well, you don't need to be doing that all the time. Like, stop that. So I love what you shared, Joy. That's why so my goal after this, well, you're always welcome at the Success Uncensored home, just to be clear, and bring the pink neon lights and all of that. And we're going to have a good time. But my goal is to get out there to LA. I'm trying to be outside in LA. Okay. So I'm working on that.
It's nice right now. It's a little warm.
I'm in Orlando, Joy. It is not.
You're in Orlando.
Trust me. It's probably like a tall glass of water being out there compared to being here.
There's no humidity out here.
See, y'all get on my nerves.
There's plenty of humidity. There's plenty of humidity there right now.
Yes.
But yes, you have to come out to LA and let me know when you're here.
I will, boo.
And we'll do a little turn up. We'll be outside.
Whoop whoop. Okay.
We're not as outside as Florida though.
Well, we've been outside. We never were not inside.
A little bit outside.
Oh no, we're everywhere. We're like, what's up? Yeah. Let's go. Football games. We don't care. We're out here. Dang, she put us in the streets, you guys. Anybody from Florida? You see how Joy just did us? She put us in the streets. Well, let us know while we out in the streets, and while we out there, how can we get in contact with you, follow you, and know what you got coming up next while we out here in the streets?
Follow me at Joy Taylor Talks on social media. I'll have some new things coming up very soon, and you can watch the show weekdays from noon to 3 on FS1, The Herd, and you can listen on Sirius. And in my website, joytaylormedia.com, I'll have announcements and things like that as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being you. And I'm so glad that we connected randomly And
Clubhouse.
Yeah, man. And I ain't even been on there. I haven't even been on there.
I was about to say, remember when everyone was like, Club?
I'm tired. But remember how you...
So we're on Clubhouse.
I'm like, I'm tired. But remember how you talking to everything's not for everybody? I'll probably maybe pick it up later, but I don't have time right now. It's too much. I can't. It's a lot.
I liked it. You know what? I think it was a nice relief because we were all on video so much. So we were like, oh, cool. We could just be on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Hang out with each other. Let's try that.
Yeah.
I've had enough Zoom calls for the day.
Right. And it took you back to like back in the day, just like being on the phone and that kind of vibe. I mean, so that was cool. And then I just think, I don't know, life got crazy. It's like a lot going on,
No, we got back outside. That's what happened.
Outside. Look, every time you say outside, I'm like dancing now. Hey. Okay, my love.
It all had purpose. We met.
That's what it was for us to connect. Mwah. You're amazing. Till next time, my love.